Mirrors and Dreams, Book 2 of the Unseen Scar series, written and narrated by C.R. Saxon. Chapter 28. Wake up, wake up! Those words were urgent but quiet. Huh? Looking around, Elby first saw snow-white hair. Then Haoyu's face came into focus. Sweat soaked his pajamas and he was having trouble catching his breath. More nightmares? The Energist floated beside him. I'm sorry I keep waking you. Haoyu shook his head. Will you tell me about them? It was the same offer every time, and every time Elby lied, saying he couldn't remember. He didn't want to burden his island family. That was the reason he kept seeing Master Lucé, even though it wasn't helping. Not much. It was easy to pretend during the day, but at night, when he was alone, when he slept. Looking down at his hands, tears welled up. He was tired of everything, all of it. Why wasn't anything getting better? Yes, he was really only going to make Yu happy, but they should be doing something, right? So, what was he doing wrong? Master Lucé helped everyone on the islands, so not improving had to be his fault. But the sessions he had right after the fire didn't do anything to prevent this, and the recent ones weren't stopping the nightmares. What am I doing wrong? How do I figure this out? The curse will stay till you banish it, Haoyu warned. This did feel like a curse, but Elby didn't believe it was one. If it was, sobs strangled tears out of him, and he covered his face. I want it to stop. Haoyu moved closer, careful not to touch him. Want what to stop? The fire, the explosion and debris, my hands hurting. Elby's words, thoughts were incoherent, but he didn't know how to organize them, or if he wanted to. I want it to stop. Weight lifted from the mattress, shifting the bed slightly. Something soft was pushed into his arms, but Elby didn't have to look to know what it was. Shaking, he accepted the cartoony stuffed fish. Haoyu was squeezing the stuffed dolphin. Being touched didn't feel nice. Even though his island brothers didn't know why, they didn't push. Instead, Ely returned from their first break with an assortment of stuffed toys. It was their way of including him. That dolphin was how Haoyu gave him a hug, something he desperately needed. I'm listening. I keep seeing it, when I sleep, when I look at my hands. Other times I'm not sure about. Elby squeezed the fish hard. Will I ever be safe again? Yes. Silence reigned for a long time. How? Elby's voice came out high and thready. I don't know. The Master Lucé helped Ely. In time, the same will happen for you. Elby squeezed the fish harder. When? How? Nothing's working. I don't know what to do, what to say. How do I make my sessions work? I don't know. The dolphin reached out and bopped the fish, making Elby look up at Haoyu's soft smile. But I walked with him. I'll walk with you, too. Not sure what else to say or do, Elby dried his face and nodded. There's nothing I can give in return. You're my brother. Giving the dolphin another squeeze, Haoyu used its nose to muss Elby's hair. I care for my family. A total absence of light surrounded him, but he could feel the faint warmth of Evelyn's door. It'd been so long. Hope, weak and worn, joined Ferdinan as he made his way toward it. With every step, he strained eyes and ears, searching for Emil. If he didn't know what to look for, he would have missed the voice's manifestation. Emil was nothing more than a dark gray impression against a perfect black, and fading. I won't have to die to be rid of you. There was no mocking, no boasting, just the weary finality of a wish nearly fulfilled. You think this'll beat me? Emil's knowing sneer hinted that Ferdinan knew nothing, and would soon regret it. I'll enjoy watching, seeing your hope grow. I'll be waiting. If it weren't for Emil moving, Ferdinan wouldn't see him. You're hardly here now. Huh, so naive. Emil's last words before blinking out of existence sent a chill down Ferdinand's spine. I'll see you soon. All that existed was Ferdinan, and a door of warmth and light. There was no victory here, only an uneasy numbness deep inside his heart. I've made her wait too long. I need to apologize. Walking through that door, color bright and vivid greeted him. Love and joy personified. Big brother! Mom! John hugged his screen, then returned it to the mount. My child, how are you? Her smile was the very definition of warmth. I want to go home. I'm doing better. But that one word was a blanket. His mom always knew. Ferdinan, but what's going on? I want to tell you so badly. I'm sorry. I hate this, but I'm listening. Mother smiled, encouraging her son. He wasn't doing well for a long time. Then he was better. He had energy and actually looked happy. He even ate without complaint. Now he's moody and reacts to things too strongly. He's insatiable. That's odd. Mother spoke when her son stopped. What are you wanting to say? He should come home with me this break. Does he want to? The room blurred and John shook his head. I haven't asked. I don't want to, 'cause he'll refuse. Smiling sweetly, Mother urged her son to open up a bit more. You think so? Yes. He feels far away. It's hard to describe. He'll refuse, but he needs to come home. Can you have him ordered there? Talia knows Evelyn's been begging for him. Mother reached out a hand. I'll arrange it, but I need to know what's wrong. Desperate eyes look longingly at his mother. I want to tell you so badly. Promise me your office for as long as I want? Of course, up to and including the entire break. Thank you, Mom. I love you. A worn smile was the best he could manage. They continued talking, and the entire time, John couldn't shake the feeling something would go wrong. First thing in the morning for North Oishi was midnight on the islands, but time meant nothing to Ferdinan. After running the long way around the main island, he stood in his lab staring out the window. The dark ink of a midnight ocean attested to how quickly he got here. He knew his running speed down to the second. Between being sick, injured, and that medicine, I should be slower. But he wasn't. Instead of worrying, he used the extra time cleaning up before the call. Drying his hair, Ferdinan stood in front of the main screen. Dozens of them of varying sizes and shapes and purposes sat in their proper stations, but there was only one he used for non-personal calls. Ferdinan sat, only to find himself pacing the room. Why is sitting so hard? Forcing himself into a chair only worked for minutes at best. Master Ludwig was becoming frustrated with him. John, thoroughly annoyed. But Oya loved it. A loud gurgle blared through the room. Luckily, no one was present to hear it, but it was still embarrassing. Another gurgle came, traveling from his stomach to his mouth. Ugh. The hunger was so pervasive, so intense. Wrapping stick arms around his middle, he pressed hard, hoping to stifle its complaint. A few more hours and John would bring breakfast. He could wait, but this sensation was terrible. Ferdinan found himself in the back of the closet raiding the small stash of nutrition bars. Swallowing, blinking, Ferdinan looked at the empty wrapper he held. When? Bony hands grabbed for another. Stop it, Ferdinan. Don't do this. Calm down. Stay in control. Feed your body. Shut up! He didn't need a second voice bothering him after ridding himself of the first. With his full might, he put the bar back and returned to the main room. The screen flashed to life before he ended up back in the closet. It wasn't Master Fullerson. Instead, there stood an older, elegant woman who'd come with his aunt, the Queen, when she married his uncle. Madame Agia, how may I serve you? This woman attended his queen and his prince. He owed her much. I've already reported on Zephyr's progress, so why is she calling? Lord Ferdinan, you're doing well? Yes, ma'am. And our prince? He's well, and has adjusted with little difficulty. Prince Zephyr will graduate on time. Thank you for caring for him. Her sad smile was filled with pity for the skeleton. I called to ask a favor. Of course, anything. What could she need from me? I've sent a number of soil samples your way. I need you to test them. Yes, ma'am. What for? Why me? Why not the Duke? Everything. I expect you'll figure out why before you're done. Yes, ma'am. As soon as they arrive, I'll start on them. Thank you. They should be there tomorrow. Pausing for a moment, she addressed the fact that he'd been dancing back and forth their entire conversation. Is there a reason you're so active? This early, I'd expect a child to be dead on his feet. His cheeks pinkened. No, ma'am. I start my day earlier than most. A salted eyebrow rose in suspicion, but she didn't press for more. I look forward to your results. Yes, ma'am. The box went black just as another flashed to life, not giving Ferdinan a chance to consider what Agia wanted. Master Fullerson! Master Ferdinan, how are you? A pleasant warmth filled Ferdinan. The sight of the bald man caused a smile to bloom on his lips. I'm doing well, and you? Blissfully busy as always. Leaning back in his chair, Fullerson picked up a smaller screen and waved it at Ferdinan. These are quite the interesting mechanics. I'm not used to such simple work from you. The machine isn't for me, so I wanted use and upkeep to be as elementary as possible. Would you be willing to service it when needed? Depends on who it's for. A man by the name of Yamo. He's a healer at a private hospital in West Chuzo. Master Fullerson blinked. You? Doing work for a healer? Never thought I'd see the day. Blushing, Ferdinan lowered his head. It's easier over a screen. What's this machine needing to do? It doesn't make much sense for use in a hospital from the blueprints. Biting his lip, Ferdinan sucked in a breath. That's sensitive information. Innocents could be hurt were it leaked. Ah. Looking over the schematics again, Fullerson shook his head. West Chuzo. Don't get out there often, but if it's a personal request from you, I'd be happy to service it as needed. Thank you, sir. Is there any way I may serve you? Actually there is. Excitement shook him, and Ferdinan found himself smiling like a child in front of a mound of presents. Yes? We got a prototype we've been fighting with. Just doesn't want to work. Care for a crack at the diagrams? It took grabbing the back of the chair not to jump for joy. I'd love to, sir. A curious expression filled the man's face, but he smiled. I'm sending them your way. A box flashed the arrival of the prototype's drawings. I look forward to this, thank you. How much do I owe you for my project? Nothing, the man laughed. No, it'll be expensive, horror filled Ferdinan, taking advantage of a man who'd helped him countless times. I need to pay. Whoa, calm down. Willison studied the boy, confused. Do you know how much work you've done for me this year? I'm taking it out of what I owe you. I haven't done that much. Yes, you have. Smiling, the man shook his head. I'll keep careful record. If it costs more than what I owe you, I'll send a bill. I expect to see that invoice. Ferdinan chewed his lip, worry swimming across nearly transparent blue crystals. Don't I always give one? A look Ferdinan couldn't interpret softened the man's eyes. Anyway, my men'll be arriving soon. I better get going. Looks like you need to move around, too. Huh? Taking stock of where he was, Ferdinan realized he'd been pacing. Red-hot fire ignited his cheeks. I apologize. For being a child? Huh, don't bother. I'll let you know when it's ready. You can send me the shipping information then. I'm assuming you want it sent to this healer Yamo? Yes, sir, thank you. When the box went black again, Ferdinan bolted for the door. A realization hit before he reached it. There were still more messages. How much trouble had he caused his people by ignoring them? Sitting down, Ferdinan found there were surprisingly few aside from Grandpa Huey. But there was one he couldn't ignore. Swallowing hard, he tapped the message from Healer Radric. That name shook him. Fear suffocated him. Calm down. Breathe. It's just a message. Inside was a congratulations and stats concerning the medicine he developed to reverse the damage of the virus. 87% made a full recovery. 87%. Bony hands grabbed his chest. Everything blurred. 13% fail rate. 13% of survivors died because my medicine wasn't good enough. Fist batted away tears. Another 13%. How many is that? Sludge and bile boiled inside him. The room turned red and his hands hurt from clutching so tightly. No! Glass shattered, metal clinked, brick chipped. No more! Smoldering red filled him, bursting through his skin. He heard the destruction, felt his arms flailing. But he couldn't see anything. It was just red. Everything was red, even the void restraining his arms. A soft warmth caressed his ears. Red became black, and all the intensity of a moment before melted away, leaving him cold, numb. A golden brown hand lifted from his face, and the perfect emptiness of her touch dissipated. What did she do to me? With a giant grin, she stepped back and offered his violin case. Play for me! Aside from the disheveled, blood-red hair, nothing about Oya hinted at seeing the massive tantrum he threw. Or, he thought. Did that really happen? Was any of that real? All color left him as he scanned the room. Everything. It wasn't broken, it was scattered, bent, knocked over. But it was only a few seconds. The red was only... Turning his hands toward him, Ferdinan realized he was shaking. A new emotion hit. Fear. Not the kind that keeps people alive, nor the one that incapacitated him around healers. It was the kind that stopped people from doing things they'd regret. I don't want to break the gift you gave me. No, I can't. Carefully placing the case on the table behind her, Oya turned around and offered her hand. For a long moment she studied him. Play with me. A smile tugged at thin lips. He wasn't sure if he'd laugh or cry. Please don't cry. Grabbing her hand, he ran. Out the door, down the hall, outside. Outside. Outside where there were no limits.